Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Scott.
Oh, I'm Dave.
And we're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community.
Screwed up the intro already.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. I can take the gap out. I won't, but I could.
Yeah.
This week's episode is brought to you by Electromotive Sound Company. They make the Clone V2, which is... Dave, have you had a chance to look at Electromotive Sound Company before? Are they on your radar?
No.
Are you a Clone Centaur guy?
I mean, in that I've very recently used an original in the studio. My buddy
nice.
Tom Beaujeur, who is has an insane amount of gear, has an original. Nice. I have at least 3 friends without even thinking about it that have an original Klon.
So this might be the one that if you're interested in that, you check out, because what Ben over there at Electromotive Sound Company has done is he's created a 4-knob Klon. So one of those knobs is actually a dual gang pot. So it moves the clean blend as you're moving the blend, or as the drive on a normal Klon Centaur. So he breaks those into 2 knobs, so you can actually control your clean blend and your gains separately. Get even more control over it, and get some more unique sounds. So if that's your thing, that might be something you might want to look at.
I'm in.
All
yeah,
right.
totally.
Right. We're gonna have to hook you up with one.
All right, I would love that.
But
I feel like I'll turn both those knobs all the way up.
That is kind of what you want to do.
That's what I figured.
And he also has a high gain mode on it. So as far as, I have a Klon and I love it, and it's on my board for bragging rights, but honestly, I like Ben's just as much. And frankly, often can sound better. So
yeah, and you don't have to worry about turning your back on your pedal board and having your Klon disappear. Though I figure the kind of person that would be able to spot an original Klon, maybe I'm giving that sort of person too much credit. I feel like they're not also a thief, but maybe that's exactly what they are. I don't know.
I've heard too many horror stories of boards disappearing backstage at shows, and I think there's a person who knows what that stuff's worth, and is just going for that quick sale, and those are the worst people.
I have, since from playing CBGBs, since I was a teenager, in college, I've just instinctively, my first thing I do is yank the pedal board back away from the stage as soon as the set's over. I'm just like, boom, just because I've seen it where people grab pedals and run out the door.
Oh yeah, I have another fun one of I play at a church a lot, and I used to leave my board there, and then the great part would be whenever you leave a piece of equipment at a church, everyone else who plays guitars there feels like they're entitled to try it out.
Oh.
And then you'll come back and your knobs are in different spots and someone just messed with your whole board. So I'm like, I don't leave it out even in the most trusted of places. I don't leave my stuff out.
No, yeah,
anywhere.
That's the thing. I'm sure. I did a show the other night, and there was a drum set there, and I realized the last time I'd done this show, there was just a beat up, crappy drum set, and then
everyone thinks they're allowed to touch the drums, everyone.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, you need the drums?" Yeah, I think there's a set up there, and we got it out, and it was a nice, little cocktail set, and I was like, whoever's set this is does not want it being used, even though we were given the go ahead to use it. I feel like I don't think this is cool, but we had been given the go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well, if anyone else is interested in the Clone V2, definitely go check them out at electromotivesound.com. There will be a link in the show notes as well to find that.
Yeah. I had to get one of these.
Yeah. It is a tradition on the show that people buy a pedal mid-show because we're always looking at stuff. I'll connect you with Ben, so hopefully we'll find something good for you in that. Yes. And then also the show's brought to you by our patrons. If you go to patreon.com/theeffectsloop, you can sign up for whatever value amount you want. And you get our episodes early. instead of the normal release date, as well as at a certain Patreon tour, you get certain benefits like the hidden chat room and other funny, goofy ones at the higher paid tiers. So you can check that out at patreon.com/theeffectsloop. All right, Dave, a first time on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Technically, everything's what's new with you, but particularly
really is.
Particularly,
like a newborn
what's
baby.
new with you?
Oh, in my life?
Yeah, sure. I think it's very obvious there's something big happening in your life right now.
I'm glad you asked. What's new? My brand new book, my 4th book, not to brag, The Awesome Game, One Man's Incredible Globe-Crushing Hockey Odyssey, just came out last week. It's ostensibly about hockey, so hockey lovers will love it. But it's also, I think anyone who just enjoys fine literature will enjoy it, because it really covers a lot of ground, a lot of non-hockey territory. I'm trying to think if there's much gear in it. Now I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of, I don't think there might not be any gear talk in that book, and I apologize.
Now, guitar gear talk, or do you get into sticks, or do you get into
a guitar gear talk?
Okay.
Because normally anyone that spends any amount of time with me will have to be either treated to or burdened with gear talk, because it's one of my favorite subjects. But I feel like the book, there may I don't know, maybe a passing reference to Fuzz Face or something, but I'm not really sure.
It's probably just so organic in your life at this point. It's not a conscious thought. It just came out, right?
Yeah.
Where you make one of those comparisons where you're like, man, this thing's heavier than a Les Paul, and no one has any idea what a Les Paul is.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those kind of moments.
I mean, this is heavier than a Norlin era. Norlin, maybe that was a Freudian slip. Norlin era Les Paul.
Well, be careful how much you rag on Norlin era, because I've got one sitting right over here.
I'm not against them at all. Like I actually embrace all eras of all gear, because I think there's magic to all of it. And there's, I think a lot, especially a lot of guitars. It's really who showed up to work that day. Oh
yeah, it's a human creation, so therefore it has human error throughout it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have right here, I have a 2006 USA Gibson 61 reissue SG that is in many ways the best guitar I own, while also having the lowest price tag or one of the very much lower price tag, but it's an amazing guitar.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, we some friends of mine and I were in Nashville, and I got ES335 curious.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were shopping through all the stores. We were going to Carter's. We were going to all these ones. And the buddy I was with kept picking. He's the big Gibson fanboy. I'm not. Mm-hmm. And we just kept picking up guitars, and he'd be like, oh, this is this era, and this is this era. And then I keep picking them up, and I'm like, it's cool. I love 335s, but this is not my one yet. I didn't pick it up. We're walking, and we find this disgusting quality Norlin era one. Mm-hmm. And I pick it up, and I'm like, oh, this is my one. Like, just the neck is right now. All these things that are technically wrong and impure for the Gibson fanboys, I picked up, and I was like, no, I like this more.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Who knows? It's
weird also, like 335s are so... Yeah, I still don't have one. I have a 330, and I know it's blasphemous, but I kind of want to get rid of it to get a 335. Even though in a perfect world, I'd probably just keep it. I probably will, in the real world, will also keep it. But, 335, I know so little about the eras of that. And yeah, you play one and you're just like, this is a beast. I could destroy Godzilla with this. And then you play another one and you're like, no. So I hear you.
Of all guitar brands, particularly Gibson has the widest variance in like what their necks feel like, the sizing on all of them. You really got to find your one.
Yeah, absolutely. I've some amazing ones here. I've gotten very lucky, but yeah, they so many different things. But yeah, I have an amazing Les Paul gold top here.
That's the proper color for Les Pauls, as I have one hanging on my wall behind me.
It's what is it? It's a 2011 56 reissue gold top custom shop with P90s. So I'm sure I said all those things in the wrong order, but yeah, it's a total beast. Everyone that plays it is like, this is the best Les Paul I've ever played.
Is that a wraparound bridge? Or is did they move to the stop tail bar already?
Yeah, 54 is the wraparound.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the
that is
whatever that's
gorgeous.
Called. Yeah,
and they didn't dye the back either. Oh, I
no,
love
it's
that.
not the dark back, and it's been scritched and scratched enough to yeah, it's awesome. But I think 54 has the wrap tail. But I do like whatever that's called, where you wrap it through and over the stop bar.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that usually.
Yeah, I usually like the feel of that a little bit more too.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of compensate a little bit for. I'm a Fender guy usually, or I realize that's how I came up. I started on a Strat, and so unfortunately all my guitars kind of feel like Strats at the end of the day after I finish setting them up, because that's just like what's right in my head.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny how like the first guitar you get kind of shapes every guitar from there on out.
Yeah.
So if you started with like a Les Paul or an SG, you're kind of always in a Les Paul or an SG. If you start in a Telecaster, you're always kind of in a Telecaster.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that frame of reference just follows everybody their whole life.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like, I try to get every guitar to play like an SG, or like, I have this here, which is, I mean, I have endless, it's like 10 guitars that are probably my favorite. But I have a Rust Telecaster. Do you know Rust?
I don't.
Matt Brewster at 30th Street Guitars in New York makes amazing guitars, and that one has like, it's a Tele, but it has a compound radius.
Oh.
So it's sounds like a Tele, but plays like it's easier to play.
Oh, nice. They're also not too badly priced. I just found a reverb. Some of them on Reverb here.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
No, that's very...
Couple $1,000.
This one was $1,500. I was shocked by it.
Oh my God, that won't last long.
Oh, it's sold. This is a sold listing. But
yeah, that's $1,500 is really low for that.
Oh, this was a few years ago, so that's why it's not real. All right. No, I'm gonna have to dig a little bit more into these guys.
Yeah, they're amazing. Matt's amazing.
Very cool. It seems like there's this niche part of New Yorkers where there's some small builders that just like are really famous in New York, and the rest of the country doesn't seem to find out about them yet until like someone influential gets out of them. Like I heard you talking with Blake about Carmine.
Yeah.
And a few of those other ones where like they're not big enough to necessarily get like in some of the stores. Like they're not going to be a Novo sized kind of boutique builder, you know?
No, I mean, both those, like Matt Brewster, and then Rick Kelly, who does, Kelly guitars out of Carmine Street Guitars, and then Cindy Huledge, who does Cindy guitars. She started as his, apprentice, and now she has her own brand or whatever. But they're just all single builders. Like they're not looking to like to be bigger than what they are. They're just like one person making cool shit.
And they're like, well, we've got a backlog and the bills are paid, so we're good.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was just in Carmine Street Guitars the other day, and they had they have like custom guitars, and then they have what they call shop guitars, where you can just go in and buy it.
Oh, nice.
On the day.
Yeah, I've seen a tour of their facility, and like everything crammed in that tiny room, and just I unfortunately have not been in New York very much, other than a really bad job interview I took, and I just had a really bad flight there, and I had a really bad first impression with this company, and I was like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here any longer.
Yeah, New York can be tough that way. Like if you have a bad day, I feel like like cities like New York or LA, a bad day can make you want to leave pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, LA is always sitting in traffic. That's what I remember of it, and having to drive everywhere. New York it felt like, so Chicago, we have the downtown loop where all the high rises are.
Yeah.
And then basically once you get out of the downtown core, it's all 3-story buildings. Sort of suburban, but still kind of suburban, right?
Yeah.
And so you can escape all the noise. It's a little quieter. It's a little cozier, right? And so like that's my Chicago existence is I go downtown, I go into the loop, and then I come back and it's quiet. Whereas I felt like New York, you're just always downtown. Was kind of the feeling I got when I was there. At least Manhattan was for me. But
yeah, it doesn't really like settle down in any area.
Yeah. But
it gets a little neighborhoody, like, you know, I live in the Village, and it's pretty neighborhoody, but it's still pretty like intense.
I can imagine. All right. Well, why don't we dive into a little bit of the news for this week? I know.
Let's do it.
You were interested in some of there, and there's been some cool stuff that I'm going to hop around just a little bit on our list and kind of pull some things out here periodically. But let's start with an old good New Yorker to start, which is Electro-Harmonix has come out with their take on the Blues Breaker called the Spruce Goose.
Yeah.
Are you a Blues Breaker guy?
I'm not. I've used them. I'm hip to them, but I'm not a Blues Breaker guy. That's like the light blue Boss pedal, right?
You're thinking of the Blues Driver.
Oh yeah. Oh, Marshall Blues Breaker.
Yes. Yeah, the Marshall Blues Breaker, or more really, in my opinion, it's like the King of Tone has been like the thing that really elevated the Blues Breaker circuit, right?
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, I'm not. I mean, now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can picture it, but no, I've never really I think maybe I shy away from guitars pedals with the name blues in it, because I think like it's gonna be like they're gonna be serving wings and stuff. Like there's gonna be like a guy with a fedora and sunglasses on, and I know these are just unhealthy stereotypes I have but that's what you get growing up in suburban Cleveland. Your experience of the blues is that. So,
well, remember we were talking about like the different camps things break up into. This might have been before we recorded, so sorry for the listeners. But we talked about how life kind of divides into two camps, and I feel like if you're a guitar player, you're either a blues guitar player who dabbles in jazz, or you're a hard rock or a metal guy. And there's just this chasm between the two genres, or the two camps. Is that
maybe? But I feel like I'm in both camps, maybe, in a way, because I definitely play. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I have hang-ups about. I think it's literally like Blues Driver, blues. Though I've used the Blues Driver, it's fine. I think both, but I think pedals. But obviously, the Tube Screamer would be a good example. But whenever pedals, like if you turn the gain all the way up and it's not ripping my head off, I'm like, what? What's the point of this? I don't understand.
Oh, you turn it up just to the point that it starts doing something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I say that, and my main pedal that I'm using right now is not very gainy. So I'm a man of contradictions. But
this is going to turn into an interesting. We're going to dive through this. We're going to unbundle it for you.
Yeah,
it's going to be a session.
This may be the most controversial episode you've ever done, where I'm at once contradicting myself, complimenting and shit talking all in one breath.
Oh yeah, what Diaz refers to as self-defecating.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know. I have sort of the main pedal I've been using, like most consistently. Though I have 7 bazillion pedals, but I've been using the Greer Super Cobra, I think it's called.
Oh,
That's
that's a
like,
great pedal.
and it's not crazy gainy, really.
No,
But I
nothing.
pretty
Nothing from Greer really gets that out of
no,
control. Like everything's pretty
no,
tame on their line.
yeah. But I use like, I mean, I use that for everything, whether it be, you know, yeah, whatever it is. I just hit that thing,
Yeah.
boom.
Well, maybe this might be something you need to pick up, and at $129, it's impulse buy territory for a lot of people.
It is, it is, and I'm sure you've had this discussion, but pedals is really the band-aid of gear impulse, because you can just get, you're like, oh my God, should I buy, 58 gold top reissue or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
buy a Nash Telly or whatever, and then you go like, I just bought $120 pedal. I'll be okay for like a week.
Yeah, and then you just sell the pedal and you buy another one, and then you sell the pedal and then you buy another one.
Yeah.
And it's just you're stuck on the infinite treadmill of flipping gear or trying new stuff out.
Yeah, you get it. I bought like a Dimebag Darrell MXR. It had like a stencil kind of drawing of his face. It was camouflage, and I bought it like in Portland or somewhere, just because it was like $40 or something.
There you go.
And I like Dimebag, as all people should. But then I got it home and I was like, oh, this is horrible, and I have no practical use for this pedal. And it didn't sound like Dimebag Darrell either. So, but I did sell it, and I made someone happy with it, I'm sure.
Oh, there you go. Well, this might be the one for you. It also, what makes this one a little different is, one, it has a little more output than a standard Marshall Blues Breaker, which is its fundamental flaw, is everyone dimes out the volume knob on those things because they don't get loud enough. And then adds a switch for 2 extra levels of higher gain. So it might get a little more gnarly for you. It might actually get into that face ripping territory. So that might be what you want.
This could be the pedal for me. It looks like it has a small footprint too.
Yeah, it's part of their nano line. So it's, it's not the giant, insane ones. You'll be able to fit this inside probably any rig at your current pedal board. You'll find a spot for it.
Yeah, it looks nice and small. I like that. There's only 4 knobs, which is, any pedal with more than 4 knobs, I start to get a little dizzy.
Oh, well, this next one's not going to help you out then.
I mean, I have plenty that I use that have more. I'm just saying it's very mentally challenging for me.
Well, yeah. So Old Blood Noise Endeavors, which is one of my favorite companies because everything they make goes to that weird level that you didn't think you needed to go.
Sure.
Has come out with the Beam Splitter, which has 13 total knobs on the top of it.
Okay. That is serious.
Yeah, this might be one that you're going to want to look at the demo of later here. But
Beam Splitter. Oh, weird delays. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So what it's essentially doing is taking a few different paths and then letting you dial in something for that path and then dial in something for the other path and then blend them back together later.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it's like more for the studio would be cool. I don't know. What do I know?
Well,
I was talking. I don't know. Yeah.
So Old Blade Noise Endeavors. I like these guys. I've gotten to meet them a number of times. They're all super cool people. The thing I found with all of their pedals is you look at them at first and you're like, I don't know if I need this or not. But those are the kind of pedals that when you buy it, you're going to write a song around that pedal.
Yeah, you're like, how did I not have this pedal? One thing I'll say, having not heard this pedal, is the graphics are really cool, and then the fact that the knob colors
are the different paths.
That is so cool. I just think aesthetically, this pedal is 10 out of 10. So I have no doubt that it sounds cool too.
Yeah. One of the other really cool things, this is like those subtle detail things. If you look at the rear view as you kind of scroll down this article a little bit, the text labels on everything are upside down so that when you're plugging in on this pedal, you can actually read the logos or read the labels. One of those subtle details more companies need to do.
Yeah, that's pretty brilliant. Yeah, that's smart. Because a lot of times, you'll have to walk around the other side of the pedal. You lose a half a day. Though I will say, I have how many versions? I guess I have 2 versions of the Earthquaker. I love Earthquaker stuff. I have the Life pedal. I have the first edition Life pedal.
Oh no way! You were able to get your hands on one of those?
I have connections. I know people. So I have one of those, and it's completely badass. And from a practical level, all the knobs are in the front, and so you literally have to. You can't like be playing and really unless you're. Can't really. But it looks so cool. I'm like, I don't mind that I can't really see the knobs while I'm playing it because it looks so badass that you're like, it's too cool the way it is. And then I have a version that's more suitable to my on-the-go lifestyle as well. The most recent one. I think they've done.
I think they've done 3 or 4 different issuances of it now. I mean, now they just keep changing the colorway and releasing it again. But
there's like, I think they did 3 different versions of the big ass one. I have the first one, the coolest one. And then they did like another limited run of smaller footprint version. I don't have that. And then they have the production run. I have that one.
So I got to ask, did you ever look at the resale prices that the Life pedal was hitting and think about letting it go?
No, I've seen it, but no, I wouldn't get rid of it. I mean, maybe, when I'm on my deathbed, I'll be like, oh, let's sell that Life pedal. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't. I think I'll probably have to sell it because I don't have any kids and feel like none of my nieces and nephews will be respectful of the value of my gear. They'll probably have to unload it so they don't like show up and do stupid things with it.
Yeah, I have friends that have like parents that played guitar and they're like, oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to inherit this from my dad or something like that. I'm sitting there, I'm like, you didn't earn it.
You didn't earn it, but also like you should never look forward to inheriting something because then you're wishing death upon someone basically.
Yeah, I don't like that part.
No.
For sure.
Unless, again, if it's a really cool pedal, yeah, sure.
I mean, if your dad owns, like a 58 Burst, who knows,
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, I love you, but come
on. Anyway, the beam splitter comes in at $229, which is quite affordable when you think about how many parts go into this thing. I'm curious if they're making any money on this pedal.
That's a really good price. I have to say, looking at it, I would have said it cost $400.
Same. It looks way more expensive just because, guitar math. A knob alone is what, $4? Add that up.
Sure. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but yeah, 13. Yeah, that's a lot. Very cool though.
Yeah.
I might need one now. At $220, it's almost irresponsible not to get one.
All right. Well, maybe we need to also give Brady a call and see what we can get out of him.
Yeah, let me be clear. And every pedal we're discussing, I'm assuming the manufacturer is gonna reach out immediately for my address.
Well, Old Blood does listen to the show in the shop, so that might help you out.
I'll do an Instagram post. You heard it here.
What I would love is I get no free gear really from doing this podcast for the years that we've done it. You come on the show once, and as a celebrity, everything we talk about winds up on your doorstep.
Major celebrity.
Yeah.
Major. But yeah, I will do an Instagram post.
Love it. Well, next on the list, which I think you're going to want to buy too, because if you haven't, have you checked out Beatronics before? This is another one of my favorite brands.
Oh, maybe let's have a look. Do I know?
So
I'm getting schooled pretty hard, I have to say. I mean, obviously I know and love electroharmonics, but I don't think I know this, but it looks cool as hell.
Beatronics is one of the aesthetically best brands out there as well. Old Blood up there as well. But Beatronics does fuzzes and drives with weird kind of quirks to them with some of the best aesthetics you'll ever see. And so they just revealed...
Yeah, that's badass.
They just came out with the Nectar Tone Sweetener, which is a drive fuzz pedal offering vintage tweed-style crunch to a full-bodied overdrive. So
yeah, that looks awesome. That looks really cool. Okay, guys, if you're listening, send it to me. Though it looks like it can't be that expensive.
It's not actually. It's $199, which in the
price to move.
boutique drive world is actually like dead on, if not on the lower side now.
Yeah,
we've been talking on the show a number of times about like $220 to $230 has seemed to become the new nominal price point.
Yeah,
for pedals, whereas like in my brain, I'm probably still locked in at like $180. Was like the new was like the default price a while ago. So as inflation grows and things like that, new pedals coming out below $200 is actually kind of becoming a rarity, especially in the boutique market. But this does have the top mountain knobs thing that, you know, you might have to travel around the pedal, as you were saying, to go check out what your settings are at. But
yeah, I gotta like walk off the stage, get down, go get a ladder, walk off the, because you know I'm playing these massive venues. I gotta get a ladder, get down. No, yeah, I'm okay with it though. I could handle it.
So yeah, and they got RJ to do a demo of it, so you know you're just gonna hear it and think you need it immediately, because that's what he does with drive pedals.
Yeah, he does good demos. I've seen this guy. I think I saw him maybe do a demo of the Spruce Gales pedal. Do you know that pedal?
I do. Yeah.
Spruce Effects. I have one of those. It's awesome. So cool. Do you find this? There's a certain though gear demo style of playing that is really cool, but then you go, there's no one plays like this in any music that I listen to. Like there's a certain, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I love what they're doing and what they're playing, but I'm like, oh, no music that I listen to it incorporates this.
There was that, and there was also, I would say, the Instagram guitar player thing where everyone was doing the neo soul flowy chords kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to mess with that a little bit, and then I realized, I'm like, all right, if I do this, the singer is going to tell me to shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's a weird
it's
thing.
too busy.
Yeah, there's a style of music. There's Instagram guitar playing and gear demo guitar playing that's all really impressive, but has no practical application.
Yeah,
at least in terms of music that I would want to hear. But I think it's good to be able to do that stuff, because then you're like LeBron James dunking on the playground when you go to play, just a song,
Yeah,
something like that.
I mean, then there's entire genres where I'm pretty sure the only people who listen to it are other guitar players.
Yeah.
So like math rock. Do non-musicians listen to math rock? Because like I'm pretty sure it's unlistenable to like average people. Or like prog rock.
I don't know.
Like that's a musician's genre, isn't it?
I don't know. It depends like what you're talking about. I mean, those things you could be talking about so many. Being the old man that I am, you could be talking about so many different things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it would be. So. It's not Rush. I mean, that's pretty accessible. But like, is Dream Theater for the average person?
No, that is for dudes, and other dudes.
Just a bunch of dudes.
I mean, let's just say, if I were a woman who really had to use a restroom, I would head straight for the Dream Theater concert. No waiting. I say that having never seen Dream Theater. I'm just making assumptions, but I'm probably right. I don't imagine a lot of women go see Dream Theater.
Yeah. You know what band a lot of women surprisingly went to go see? Nickelback.
Who's that? I don't doubt it.
It's a pretty female-heavy fan base for Nickelback. You wouldn't believe it.
Well, you got Chad Kroeger up there and those locks. Though maybe I think his hair is short now.
He's got short hair now. He does.
Yeah, I don't follow his hair that closely. But I've never seen them. You know, I've nothing against them.
It was a meme to hate on them for a while, but I will genuinely say, go if they're playing an outdoor venue by you, go get lawn seats and just hang out. It's a good time.
It probably is. I mean,
you'll know every song they play because you've been forced to hear it your entire life.
I think that's a testament. It's true, like, and they've been around a long time now. Like, you go see, there's artists I've gone to see where I think, like, I'll last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, and you're, even an artist, you're like, I've made no effort to be familiar with their material. But then you're, to your point, you just go like, oh, just being alive on Earth, I know every song.
Yeah. You've had to hear every Train song, despite never listening to one of their records.
Yeah, and I love Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath more so, but I went to see him. It was a long time ago actually, but I went thinking like it's not going to be a sustainable night of entertainment for me. But I was like, oh, this is completely, I'm in. Like I know every song, and it's completely entertaining. And I thought, oh, this would be 20 minutes, but I stood corrected.
How long did Ozzy play anymore? Can he do a whole set?
I don't know. He might be winding down or maybe done. I don't know. But I mean, this was a while. This is like crazy. It was still 20 years ago, but it was.
That was peak the Osbournes era, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Osbourne's time. So for me, like, I mean, Ozzy's kind of demystified anyway because Geezer Butler wrote all the lyrics, pretty much, but then Osbourne's, it's like, come on, you're supposed to be the Prince of Darkness, and then you know, but whatever. They made a lot of money, so he's probably like, you know what? I'd rather have a lot more money than be the Prince of Darkness.
Well, and also, I mean, props to them. They actually transcended success to a following generation. What you've seen Jack and Kelly do, like, those kids have been very successful. And, like, earning it in their own... Like, they got opportunities, but who their parents are, but respect. They're making a name for themselves now.
They seem like nice people, as best I can tell. I'd never met any of them.
Well, why don't we keep moving along real quick? So Universal Audio has actually done 2 releases since we last did a show. The first one adding the Lion to their amp line, which adds a Marshall in a box, taking the 68 Super Lead and turning it into a dedicated pedal. Does this grab your attention? Are you into these pedal amp style things yet, or are you still an amp head?
No, I mean, so this, like, this is like would be like, you could use it in the way that I'm currently using a Strymon Iridium pedal.
Exactly. This would replace the Strymon Iridium in your chain.
Then, yeah, I'm totally into it. I just did, this is controversial, but my friend, if I may name drop, Alex Skolnick from Testament and jazz guitarist as well. He just wrote a whole thing about how he thinks that, like, everyone's just going to be using this stuff moving forward, like, because it's getting so good. All the different modeling pedals and racks and things like that. But so yeah, I mean, I just did a European tour, and then a European tour that involved 2 cities, but 15 nights. It was one.
Oh, wow.
I did Rotterdam and then 14 nights in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh, good
So
Lord.
let's call it a tour, but it's 2 cities. I did that, and then the whole Tenacious D tour which was like 7 to 10,000 people every night, and I had the Strymon Iridium, and it was great. I didn't miss having an amp. So I'm not saying I'll become an ampless person. I'm just saying I might become an ampless person.
I have not performed live with an amp in close to 3-ish years.
What do you use? The Kemper?
So I bought a Kemper and then immediately bought a Quad Cortex from Neural, and it's still my amps, right? So
yeah.
I have a Super Reverb, a vintage Super Reverb, and an AC15 hand wired that I use, and I run them in stereo, pan left right, to have that 2 amp rig and that fullness of that. So it's still my amps, and it's me miking them up how I mic them up and everything like that. But it's, versus me lugging in 2 amps and my 50-pound pedal board down to just this one box. I'm getting old. I know it's the oldness setting in, but it's like, this is so easy, and it just works every time. I never have to worry about a tube blowing out. Never have to worry about the sound guy moving a mic on me. It's just up and running so easily. It's too convenient not to go back or to go back to what we used to be doing.
Oh, totally. I mean, I should say, like, I have not lugged an amp anywhere, with the exception of like this little thing, like my little Vox modeler that's meant for like playing in the subway or something, which I haven't done, but I could. I have not taken a proper amp to a gig in 15 years. Like, I have a general no. I'll take this tiny Vox, which has like I don't even know if it's 5-inch speaker, 3. I don't know. Maybe it's 5. I pretty much have I'm not bringing an amp policy for everywhere. And I've played.
Do you normally do backline then, or?
I just do, because I run everything off pedals. Like, a lot of times I'll be doing a show and they'll be like, hey, well, here's what we have. And they'll send me a list of like, they're like, I have this in my house. I could bring this and this and this. And I'm like, bring the smallest. Now I'd say I'll use the Strymon if there's no amp there, but I just want a clean amp, and I just run everything through the pedals. Like I did in New Orleans, I opened up for Down, and one of their techs had like a little Fender 5-inch amp, for test, for his station. And I just used that in front of 2,000 people and ran my pedals through it, and they mic'd it, and I was like, fine. But I was also, I thought it was funny to use just a thing on a stool. But so that was part of the inspiration for using it. But it was totally fine using a tiny little practice amp for 2,000 people.
It's funny how like we create these restrictions for ourselves sometimes when you're doing the tone chasing thing, where you're like asked to be the best thing ever and I have to do all this stuff, and then you're like, I can really get by with the basic thing. I really don't need this, but I tell myself I need it. Like that whole like psychological thing. Maybe it's just us procrastinating, whatever it is. But
well, plus like there's so many factors. As much as I love gear and have way too much, but also not nearly enough, I'm very lazy, and in terms of gear, and I also think there's so many factors. Like by the time your guitar is coming out of the PA, how many things could be changing what you intended it to sound like? Like there's been so many times where I literally just plugged into whatever amp was there, didn't even touch the knobs, and people were like, oh my god, your tone was insane, that was great, like what did you, I'm like, I don't know. I just plugged in and turned on my pedal. So I don't know. I'm sort of like, people are like, what amp do you want? I'm like, I don't. Basically, I don't. I will say I don't really like Fender Twins for my own purposes, or like a Roland Jazz Chorus. I'll be not too. Though I just saw
Very clean amps.
Belly, my friend Tanya Donnelly, again, more name dropping. She was playing like a 60s SG through a Roland Jazz Chorus and it sounded great. I'm sure she had a pedal through it, but I don't know what it was.
Well, it's fun to remind people. Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit toured with a JC120 for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
I don't know. It's all in the hands. It's all in the hands. I say that as someone who's completely obsessed with gear, but it's all in the hands.
There is something to it. There is something to it. Well, Dave, as I've just completely filled up your Amazon shopping cart through probably this entire episode, this is coming in at $400, which is in line with the other UA pedals that they've released in this line so far. Does the whole Bluetooth app, has a noise gate actually in it, which will help clean up that a little bit, particularly since this is, a higher gain pedal than some of their other ones they've done. You can run an effects loop through it if you want, or you can run it in stereo. There's all sorts of features you can dial out of these things. It has an EP3 Echoplex preamp model in there that you can use as a boost. What else is fun in here? Bunch of presets built into it too, so you can go on the app, downloads how somebody else dialed in the pedal for a good, easy, quick and setup. And if it's anything like their other ones, there'll be like something like 6 different cabs in there that you can try out. So
I'm into it. And 400's not bad for, a
Plexitone,
amp in a box.
Well, in the fun part is there's not a lot of companies that have actually gone full plexi. There's ones that have done like a JTM kind of style thing, but they haven't gone to the super lead. Because I think the Strymon one, there is a Marshall in there, but it's not. I don't think it's a super lead, right? It's a more lower gain Marshall.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure because I've never read the manual. My friend Doug Womble, a jazz cat, further name dropping for me. He permanently loaned it to me. At least that was how I choose to understand it. Yeah, I know there's a Marshall, a Vox, and a Fender. And man of contradictions, I tend to use the Fender setting, even though on paper, psychologically, it would be my third favorite of those 3. But here we are.
That's an interesting man of contradictions. I like this.
Yeah.
Things we're diving in. So UA also released 3 other pedals. So they have the Tektronix model LA2A, which is a famous limiter compressor. There is the Brigade, which is a chorus and vibrato, bucket brigade style. And then there is the Flow, which is a vintage tremolo. These all come in the more affordable line at about $200. Bear in mind, the LA2A is digital. It is not an analog LA2A. For people who are obsessed with compressors and having the perfect recreation, this is not it. It's not a real tube compressor. It's a plug-in in a pedal format, which is actually all these are plugins in a pedal format. So the Brigade gives you a Boss CE1 style pedal, just in a simple pedal. And I'm trying to look this up. The tremolo, I think, is just a regular tremolo. There's a switch. I just don't know which modes it does here.
It looks pretty sweet. I might need this one. I see my friend Andy Martin, more name dropping.
Mm-hmm.
He does a demo of it. That's when I really want to go straight to the top on a pedal. I text Andy. I'm like, Andy, what do you think? And he'll usually say, I don't know, just buy it. See if you like it.
Well, I mean, that guy just gets through everything. Okay, yeah. So the three different tremolos there is a harmonic tremolo on the Dharma mode. The 65 sine wave is the deluxe reverb style. And then there is a choppy square wave tremolo. So, I mean, that's how I got into tremolo pedals, was the Smiths. The How Soon Is Now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need that sound. And that started an addiction for me of going down the rabbit hole of tremolo sounds. So
yeah, I haven't really leaned into tremolo enough in my life, even though, yeah, I love, of course. But I think Johnny Marr did that with what, like 4 Fenders?
No, I think it was I thought it was a TR2, just a Boss. I thought it was a modified Boss, but I could be wrong.
Wait, for that song, for the recording of that song?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I may be proven wrong, but I swear I read that they had like 4 Fender whatevers, and they had to keep, like, do it as they went, like punch in, because the tremolos would get out of sync eventually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a journey I'm going to have to dive down.
There has to be documentation of this somewhere.
I'm on the Wikipedia for just that song right now, trying to see it.
Oh, now, okay. Now I got to do that. How Soon Is Now? And record. Secrets. Oh, here we go. The Secrets. This is Guitar World. Da-da-da. He wanted the intro to be as potent and recognizable as Layla. Wow. That's amazing. That's great, but it worked.
It did. I'd also say it's a shame that the rest of it. This is one of those songs that, like, is the most famous song of a band, and none of their other material really ever sounded like it. You know,
true.
It's like how, like, Blur became famous for song 2, even though none of their material sounds like song 2 other than that song.
Oh, so we're kind of both right, because he used an Epiphone Casino into a Fender Twin with no tremolo. Then they reamped it through 4 twin reverbs, all with the tremolo engaged.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine just having 3 twin reverbs cranked in a room?
Yeah, that would be loud. I mean, I like twin reverbs, but I really only like them cranked, and you can't always crank them to where they need to be, in my experience.
Oh, interesting. So they used side chaining with the drums on a noise gate to make sure it's synced up. That's how they were able to balance it out.
Wow.
Nowadays, we just have tap tempos and BPM gauges. It makes life so much easier.
Yep. But not as awesomer as
not as awesome as discovering those sounds.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit one last pedal here on the list. I'm just keeping the time moving for you. Possibly one of the biggest releases of the year, arguably, is Line 6 has come out with the HX1, which is 250 effects in one pedal.
Okay, I'm against it.
Okay.
And yet I want it. And yet I want it.
Have you gone down the Helix route yet? Have you tried any of that stuff from Line 6 yet?
No, but I've heard a lot about it, and I think, like, it's probably great, but then, like, if you have everything all in one thing, then what do I have all these drawers of pedals for? I don't know.
Speaking from experience, you get the thing that does all the things, and yet you still have boxes full of pedals.
Yeah,
it doesn't go away. It doesn't cure it.
Okay, I guess that's what would happen. Yeah, I'm just a sucker for all of it. You know, like the the graphics on the pedals, and whether or not it comes in a fun bag.
Yeah.
All these things.
So this does pretty much everything, just a single effect at a time that the Helix series has done. And it also has a second knob to pull up presets that you can go and hop between. There's 128 user preset slots. You can use the online manager with your computer. Some other nice features of it is it does do a 500 milliamp power supply, whereas I think a lot of people were really struggling with some of the other HX stuff that required, I believe, 1,000 milliamps. So a lot of power supplies just weren't able to handle it, or you have to daisy chain stuff. So most modern power supplies can give you 500 milliamps at 9 volts, so it's a little more usable. It does not include any of the amp and cab simulation that like the HX Stomp would have. So it's not your solution for an amp in a box at the $300 price point, but it does kind of update and kind of fill in the space that what was it, the M5 from Line 6 used to be, where it was like yay big. It was a bigger pedal, but it was a single effect at a time kind of thing too, from the Pod series.
Wait, so this thing is 1 million pedals in one pedal, but you can only use one at a time?
Yes.
I'm out.
You're out?
No, that seems good. That seems cool, actually. I think it's cool because then, yeah, you can still use other pedals and still feel like you're using your other pedals. So
yeah, it's your Swiss Army knife pedal. I mean,
I
there's
like
been
that,
other ones.
because then you can be like, you know what? This is my Qtron and my Roto Vibe and my whatever else.
Yep, your rotary speaker that you only need for one song in the set.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back on board.
Yeah, back. Let's instead of carrying 10 pedals that you use for one song, and you only use them one at a time. Now you can condense your pedal board to 4 pedals.
I like that. I think I want to get this pedal now that the more we talk about it.
Yeah. And the other benefit is it's Line 6, which is like one of the most mature platforms that are out there. People share their presets with each other. So you might be able to get up and running on it really quickly.
I am a like a Line 6 caveman. I still use the Pod.
And the Pod actually probably sounds good for you because you use it correctly, right?
I have no idea if I use it correctly, but I record with it, and some people make fun of me that I don't just use the like other things available, but I'm like, I don't know. I know how this works. So I just do it. I don't use it for everything, but
using it is using it is the trick. Like it's not, it's not about necessarily using it correctly. It's what's right for you in that moment and all that. This last thing I actually intentionally left in because even though the link is not working for me, is it working for you? I'm just getting a blank page. Maybe
let's see where the.
This is the Guitar World article I just shared.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Let me try it in Safari. See if it works.
The first folding electric guitar that you can take everywhere.
Yeah. So what's funny about this is it's not the first, but CR's been a company that's been around for a while. I think I first saw these guys at NAMM 2018 or something like that. But I will legitimately say these guys have perfected a folding guitar. And they used to be $3,000, $3,500 and too expensive for everybody. But now these are coming in around $1,500 to $1,800. And these are beautiful. There's if you ever watch a demo of it, there's a sort of this latch that you undo. And then the whole guitar, what that will do is it'll take all the tension off the strings. And then you fold it in a certain way where the strings all still stay in place. And so you don't have strings everywhere. And then you can snap the neck back. It's like a 3-point hinge. Snap it back, snap that bar back in place, and it's back at tuned pitch.
Oh wow, that's insane.
So for someone like you who's on the road all the time, you might love something like this.
Maybe, but I don't know. I kind of want to play my cool guitars. I mean, this looks cool, but um, I always say that with your guitar, like what you're gonna walk on stage with, no one's gonna know that you had an easy time at the airport. No one's gonna know or care about that. Like if I may continue with my name dropping,
Please.
my friend Rhett Miller, old 97s, a solo singer songwriter as well. Dear friend, excellent musician. He normally plays like a Gibson J200, one of the most badass looking acoustic guitars you could walk on stage with. And then he was like, I got a Fender Acoustasonic, and it's so easy, and I can kind of model all these different guitar sounds. And I was like, dude, no one's gonna know that you wasn't a pain in the ass to get here with your J200. Or like, when people show their pictures, take your picture. Do you want to be holding a J200, or do you want to play this guitar that looks like a companion to like a reed diffuser, air freshener thing? To my mind, that's the Acoustasonic. It looks like it's from like Pottery Barn or something. And they're great, don't get me wrong. He ended up loaning me his for a year, and then joke was on him because then I used it at shows, but only locally. I just think you gotta still look cool. Come on.
Yeah.
Now, that having been said, this guitar does actually look cool. So I take it all back. This what's it called? Sierra?
Ciari.
Ciari.
Yeah.
Ciari. It does actually look cool. It doesn't, I mean, it's not the coolest looking thing. It's not as cool as like a Flying V or something. But
it's a pretty tame looking guitar, all things considered. Like it strays towards the traditional look.
But it looks cooler than like, a PRS or something. Not to lash out at PRS guitars, but at the same time, you know what I mean. I hope they're not one of your sponsors.
I own two of them.
They're not bad. They're great guitars.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm not saying they're bad.
There was such an association for a long time of they were the rich douchebag guitar.
Well, yeah, you see it and you're like, okay,
yeah,
I know that's running straight into a triple rectifier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like, investment banker guitar before they just went and bought all the.
And to be honest, they've kind of had a resurgence, and I would solely point that at John Mayer has helped them rebrand themselves.
Oh, because they did that Strat for him.
They did the Strat for him, and he was playing. Well, he plays McCarty, and he had that crazy guitar he had built for himself. I think it's called the Super Eagle, for when he was doing Dead and Company.
Oh.
Whereas this triple pickup thing with all the different switches, it was basically like, what if Paul Reed Smith took Jerry Garcia's guitar and made a modern version of it?
And who made that for him?
That was like custom made by Paul Reed Smith, like actually by him.
Oh, so it's a Paul Reed Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And so that's that. John Mayer's been part of the rebranding, and then they found some endorsees and some not new metal acts.
I think like I would want one, and but yeah, I don't know. Like they made some with pick guards. I think look pretty cool. And I'm friends with Zach Myers from. I'm going to keep name dropping. I think it's very important.
Actually, Zach Myers was another one of those artists I would say help renovate the brand too.
Yeah, he has his signature model.
Yeah,
and I always am tempted to text him and be like, "Hey, send me one of those. Come on." But
even the SE one, the Indonesian ones, that the version of his guitar, the Zach Myers SE, is fantastic.
But is there a US version of his guitar?
There's a US version too, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now that I thought there was only the Indonesian one, but now I'm gonna write him and be like, "Hey, send me the U.S. version. What are we even doing?"
Well, I was gonna say, I think I saw Zach's rig rundown, and I think he's got what 20 guitars on tour with him. The guy's
I would
insane.
hope. I would hope so.
Yeah,
Why not? Why not?
yeah.
I like when people take way too many guitars.
Oh goodness, my favorite one. I had a balcony like Juliet. What's the opera? Oh, the opera box seat basically
Yeah.
to see Wilco,
Oh, nice.
and they have their vault on stage, so I could overlook and see just they had a whole room full of guitars. That between the four of them that play guitar in that band, you got just so many.
Is
just
it
crazy
4?
options.
I thought it was just 3, but maybe it is 4. I don't know. There, I know Jeff Tweedy, obviously, Nels Klein.
And Pat, and then I think their other keyboard player will periodically pick up a guitar too.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
I just saw, not to name. If I continue, I hope you're. I hope this is helping the episode. But
I mean, we don't have to pay for these name drops, do we?
I just saw Michael on Saturday
Oh, nice.
in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had the luck of running into them, but we use the same repair guy out, and
They're playing tonight in Chicago.
oh man,
They're playing at Metro tonight.
I'm gonna go look for tickets. It's down the street. I gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go.
There we go. Well, that is Dave. That's the end of our list for today. And
That's
also
a pretty
because
sweet list.
it's been some cool stuff coming out, and there's even more cool stuff that we'll talk about in the next episode, because new cool stuff is always coming out. That's the beauty of this show. So
Yeah, I want all of it. If any of the manufacturers are listening, I would like, and they're on the fence. Hey, should we send Dave one of these things? Then, yeah,
yeah,
I'm telling you, I'll take it out. I'll take it on when I go on tour with Tenacious D in May.
there you
I'll bring
go.
it and rip some solos. Boom.
I mean, you've got an endorsement or two, don't you? I mean,
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know how that works, but I've been many companies, or several companies, I should say, have been very kind to me and helped me have more gear, which I like. But it's all really good stuff. I mean, I think I was telling you, been playing this beautiful Illuminati guitars, Orion guitar a lot lately, which is totally badass. And yeah, I'm always using the Earthquaker stuff.
and you got
Earthquaking it up.
You got that great hookup with Earthquaker because you're getting access
No,
to all
don't.
the fun ones.
I didn't say that. I just said I know a guy who knows a guy. I didn't say I have a hookup. Let me be clear.
Well,
But for the record, I'm don't say I got a hookup, because I never said that. I'm just saying I got the Life Pedal first edition on the black market. It was actually Shanghai. I was in Shanghai, and I had to. One thing led to another, and under darkness of night, I got the Life Pedal, the first one.
and you can't say any more.
I can't say anymore, but
Because
let me be clear.
And you're not required to incriminate yourself. So
No. I would say, yeah, I get pedals doing what has to be done, and sometimes laws are broken, and
and now you can't go to China anymore. So
not for a while. I gotta lay low.
yeah, until the heat dies down. Well, Dave, thanks for joining us. This was fun and a unique change of pace from our normal show. So this was really fun. I'm really grateful for you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you want to give one last plug to everything going on? I mean, you got a tour coming up. You got a
Totally.
book coming that just came out. Why don't just give us a rundown?
I'll tell you, the main thing, my new book, The Awesome Game, One Man's Incredible Globe-Crushing Hockey Odyssey, which does not talk about guitar gear nearly enough, but I feel like everyone will enjoy it as a great work of literature. And then, a lot of shows coming up. I'm going to be Austin, Texas on the 30th of November. Then I go to Bozeman, Montana. Then I go to Helper, Utah. Springville, Utah, I think it is. And then I'll be in Portland, December 13th, Mississippi Studios. Now I'm just giving you my whole rundown, endless. All by way of saying, buy my book. All pedal companies send me the pedals. And then in May I'll be in Ireland and UK with Tenacious D, which is all sold out. But I know a guy who knows a guy in Shanghai. We'll get you tickets to those shows if you want.
I feel like you bought that pedal on Ticketmaster.
I did buy the Life pedal on Ticketmaster.
Okay.
But it was there were fees, but it was worth it.
You throw in a Taylor Swift ticket just to make for good measure.
Yeah. Yep.
Make it affordable. All right.
Yep.
Well, cool. And thank you all for listening this week. Again, if you want more of the show, you can go to theeffectsloop.com. There you'll find our link tree to everything, including our Facebook group, to go chat about how much you love Dave Hill's work. And that's definitely going to be the conversation in our Facebook group.
What if they're just like, who is that jerk?
Well, and I'm going to be like, man, I've been a fan of this guy for years.
Oh, thank you. But they're like, he's such a name-dropping jerk who has connections to the underworld.
Oh, I mean, so the fanboy moment, I think the first time I saw your work was actually on At Midnight. Do you remember that show way back in the day?
Of course I do. I wish it were still. It's coming back, actually.
Is it really?
But on CBS, I believe, and I'm not convinced. I'll be.
Chris Hardwick is associated with it still, or
no? I think someone else will be hosting it, and not sure I'll be getting the call to be on it. I hope so, but I don't know.
I DVR'd it and made sure I watched every time. It was you and Tom Lennon. Those were my two favorite guests on the show. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love Tom. So you have great taste.
Thank you. What else do I have to plug? Oh yeah, if you want to keep supporting the show, Patreon, our link, you can either go to the patreon.com/theeffectsloop or go to theeffectsloop.com. You'll find a link to the Patreon there. You'll also find a link to Electromotive Sound in our show notes. Again, thank you them for sponsoring us. And Ben will be trying to get Dave hooked up with the pedal.
I can't wait for all those pedals.
No promises, but there's hope, and that's what keeps us going, right?
Yes, you gotta have hope.
And until next time, thanks all for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody.
We have to just keep pushing on. dictionary. Why is negativity always drawn out? Pictionary, visualize love, energize lives together. We undefeated. A plan to make well, there's no gloves needed when we weed into the mindset of achieving and believing in a community that remains happy. Never after, the world should be one. Hate annihilated, every heart is one. Love again. So.